Stepping out of the shadows, appearing for the first time on camera, Ali Soufan, the former FBI agent, with an eyewitness account some people don't want him to tell.
They are trying to stop me and others from telling the world what really happened over there.
He believes huge mistakes were made with devastating consequences.
The CIA has a bunch of bad guys that are coming to the U.S. We know their freaking flight information, for Christ's sakes. And you don't tell the FBI? I get a tap on my shoulder. I had passed CIA information on an undisclosed line to the FBI without authorization. And they wanted to remove me from the building that moment. Escort me out of the building, take my clearances away, and have me taken out of the building. I'm calling an FBI agent in the field, you fucking asshole, who's investigating an attack. And you want to shove the rules up my ass? Then they made me sign a document that said I cannot tell the FBI anything about what I learned in the CIA without written, explicit permission from the CIA. I could not utter it. I could not email it. I cannot even say in a passing conversation anything I learned at the CIA when I was working there. One of them at least has a multiple entry visa to the U.S. We got to tell the FBI. And then she said to me, no, it's not the FBI's case, not the FBI's jurisdiction. So I go tell Doug, and I'm like, Doug, what can we do? If we had picked up the phone and called the Bureau.
I'm like, you have to be kidding me. I remember I just ran from that office to a bathroom in the hallway, and I just to throw up.
Soufan discovers that the identities of two of the 9/11 hijackers and the fact that they had arrived in America have been known by the CIA since the bombing of the USS Cole, but not released to the FBI.
I still don't understand why the information was not passed. I still don't understand why our requests were repeatedly ignored. I don't understand it. I don't know. If information was shared, 9/11 could have been intercepted.
After 9/11, when I heard about this, I was outraged, I was mad. And then when the 9/11 Commission investigated it, my conclusion initially was, well, there must have been a report that came into CIA perhaps on a Sunday, perhaps somebody was on vacation. I sort of thought there was probably one low-level person to blame.
He was not at the principals meeting.
Well, you don't see him.
Condoleezza Rice, I saw him in this time frame, to be sure.
Well, now I know differently. Everybody involved in counterterrorism in the CIA knew about it, from the director on down.
You don't see the President of the United States once in the month of August?
He's in Texas, and I'm either here or on leave.
There was an intentional policy approved at a high level in CIA to deny the information to me and to the FBI.
I have thought about this a lot, and there's only one conceivable reason that I've been able to come up with. Now, there may be other reasons, but I've only been able to come up with one. When Cofer Black became the head of the Counterterrorism Center at CIA, he was aghast that they had no sources in Al-Qaeda. So he told me, I'm going to try to get sources in Al-Qaeda. I can understand them possibly saying, we need to develop sources inside Al-Qaeda. When we do that, we can't tell anybody about it. And I can understand them perhaps seeing these two guys show up in the United States and thinking, aha, this is our chance to flip them. This is our chance to get guys inside Al-Qaeda. And contact with them occurred. You know, one thing that happens in agent recruitment is we think we've recruited the agent. But then later we discover that they're playing us. Here's a double agent. And at some point, CIA realizes that. That's possible.
How long do you think it would take them to decide this isn't working?
I don't know. I do know in August of 2001 they decide they're going to tell the FBI. And there's no obvious reason in the record why for 15, 16 months they decide not to tell the FBI, and then one day they wake up and say they're going to tell the FBI. Ask yourself why, on September 4th, after they've told the FBI, but not told senior levels at the FBI, why not raise it in the September 4th principals meeting?
I mean, if I ask myself that, I don't...
There's a very obvious answer. What am I going to say? I know how all this stuff works. I've been working it for 30 years. You can't snowball me on this stuff. If they announce on September 4th in the principals meeting that these guys are in the United States, and they told the FBI a few weeks ago, I'm going to say, wait, time out. How long have you known this? Why haven't you reported it at the daily threat meetings? Why isn't it in the daily threat matrix? We would have begun an investigation that day into CIA malfeasance and misfeasance. That's why we're not informed.
So they put their own asses above national security.
If you believe all of this, I can't prove this. I have a set of facts. I'm trying to make sense of those facts. And I'm trying to come up with an explanation as to why those facts that we know are true occurred.
In the tower above the earth, there is a view that reaches far.
And by the way, if they had, even as late as September 4th, told me, we would have conducted a massive sweep. We would have conducted it publicly. We would have found those assholes. There's no doubt in my mind, even with only a week left. They were using credit cards in their own names. They were staying in the Charles Hotel in Harvard Square, for heaven's sake. We would have found them. If we'd taken those pictures and put them out on the AP wire, those guys would have been arrested within 24 hours.
Have you asked George Tenet or Cofer Black or Richard Blee about any of this after the fact?
No.
It kind of, the facts tripped out to you over time, right, over these investigations, and then you started
Took
seeing,
a while.
Yeah.
And so you've never approached them, so what's the deal?
But you used to be kind of buddies with Tenet, right? So
Look at it this way. They've been able to get through a joint House investigation committee and get through the 9/11 Commission, and this has never come out. They got away with it. They're not going to tell you, even if you waterboard them.
I want to ask you about a specific incident related to interagency rivalries. Michael Scheuer, who was at the CIA running the bin Laden desk, the ALEC operation named after his son, he reported that at one point he was able to identify the location of a satellite phone that was used to communicate with Osama bin Laden. And it was traced, and Jim Bamford has written about this, it was traced to a safe house in Sana'a, Yemen. And so Scheuer made a request of the NSA, first for a full transcript of intercepts from that satellite phone. And then when he was rebuffed, he was able to get one link of it, either the uplink or the downlink, one side of the conversation. And he said, well, I took that to the NSA and said, well, look, I've already got half of it. Can you just cough up the other half? And he said that they turned him down. Number one, are you able to confirm that? And number two, are there other significant cases of this kind of interagency squabbling that left us, either undefended or just unable to pursue the clear missions assigned?
I'll answer it this way. I live with the dirty knowledge of what could have been, and what could have been is that 9/11 could have been prevented by virtue of what NSA alone knew, should have known, didn't share, or could have known. It's one of the deep, dark chapters in the post-9/11 and pre-9/11 history that is yet to be fully written. The extent to which NSA is culpable, and also went into a major cover-up. One of the things that Hayden was quite proud of, and I remember in the executive session, is that he was more than willing to have the FBI and the CIA take the heat while NSA remained in the shadows, away from the prying eyes of the investigators. The NSA did all it could to obstruct the investigations, several investigations. For me, I had the certain knowledge. You spoke of one incident. There's any number of other incidents in terms of pre-9/11 intelligence that was either never shared with national command authorities, to say it that way, or those responsible for, in terms of receiving actual intelligence, indications, warning intelligence, and then doing something with it. NSA bureaucratically had this thing that only they owned it. Whatever they took, they owned, and they didn't trust anybody with, if they gave it to somebody, they didn't know what they would do with it. So they tended to hoard it, and hoarding meant that no one else could see it. So they're very reluctant to share critical intelligence. And I ended up not only as a whistleblower, but a material witness on 2 9/11 congressional investigations in early 2002, and then the joint inquiry that involved both the Senate and the House, the prelude to the 9/11 Commission. I gave them prima facie evidence of what NSA had failed to share, including critical actual intelligence regarding Al-Qaeda and associated movements that could have easily rolled up that entire network. All of that was reported to the investigators, and I will tell you that all that information was censored. It was hidden behind state secrets. It was never made part of the final report. Now you tell me.
I appreciate the way you answered my question, and let me just push one more time. Is Scheuer's story accurate?
Yeah, it's fair to say that Scheuer's story is accurate. That's just one of any number of cases in which critical intelligence. There was an interesting meeting I remember with Hayden where the demands were quite strong for NSA to share raw intelligence because there was so much information coming in. I remember they didn't have the benefit of thin thread. You know, what I didn't tell you is that we actually took thin thread. We had a couple $1 million. I was able to wrestle out of Marine Baginski. They would not let thin thread go on to the operational system, out there to do real intelligence. So we said, okay, fine, let's take a look at the database, the main database at NSA. We found critical actual intelligence pre-9/11 and post-9/11 that had never been discovered at all. They shut it down. That was the last that you ever heard of thin thread.